More travelers are skipping trips to the United States as June data shows a 3.4% drop in visitor arrivals.
2024 was a great year. We had the most visitors ever to Houston in 2024 with an estimated 54 million.
Stats from the International Trade Administration show February saw a decrease of 2.4% compared to the same time last year.
So what's the perception over in Europe, like in England and the Netherlands, about travel to the U.S. right now? Do you feel like your friends and family feel comfortable traveling there?
No, nobody I know back in England or here.
Every year, tens of millions of tourists flock to the United States. But this year, international travel to the U.S. is already showing signs of slowing down as tourists...
The United States is experiencing a sharp decline in tourism. This year alone, the nation is expected to lose $12.5 billion. Canadian tourists are enamored with 30% more than the previous year. Some communities estimate a 50% decline in their Canadian clientele. Ultimately, it all boils down to $250. That's the new anyone from a nation where a visa is not waived must pay the visa charge. Doesn't it sound insignificant? However, it has been destroying America's $1.9 trillion tourism industry since July. Miami's hotels are half full. Casinos in Vegas are stopping their entertainment. Resorts in Tucson are cutting costs. The tour buses in New York are only half full. Both patrons and employees are in short supply at restaurants. Airbnb hosts are leaving the company early. Theme park closures are occurring. It's not just a slow summer either. It is a caution sign. When they see that charge, millions of tourists think it's not worth it. And the cities that rely on them begin to die when they stop coming. Tucson. In the past, Arizona was a hot destination for desert travelers. It's incredibly silent now. The number of tour buses has decreased. Gift shops remain unopened. Lobbies in hotels reverberate. International arrivals have decreased 32% since the $250 visa charge went into effect on July 4th. Almost 40% of local tourism-related firms have closed or laid off employees. No student delegations, no tour groups, no foreign conventions. Tucson was gaining ground in 2024. Airports were growing. The runway has now been torn away from them. It's more than just a dip. A collapse has occurred. The suffering is just as intense in Spokane, Washington, but it looks different. Global. This summer, student programs fell apart. The number of visitors to J1 fell. The United States issued 7,000 fewer J1 visas in May alone, a 13% decrease from the same month last year. 60% of the region's hotels and resorts had trouble staffing without those employees. Front desks, culinary staff, and housekeepers. Rooms were cleaned by managers themselves. Reservations for the summer festival disappeared. Cancellations on. Airbnb increased. Overnight, the workforce that sustains the hospitality sector was priced out. New Orleans, a city known for its festivals, cuisine, and music, is likewise in shock. Canadian tourists declined notably this spring. Revenues at the French Quarter Festival dropped 42%. There was a 35% decrease in international attendance. Almost half of the scheduled acts were canceled. Hotels reduced their hours. Bus tours ceased. Running, street entertainers vanished, and millions of dollars worth of economic activity vanished. And you can tell there's a structural problem when New Orleans loses its joyous aura. Missouri's Kansas City is preparing for catastrophe even before the celebration begins. Although it is one of the U.S. cities hosting the 2026 World Cup, tourism. Officials are already estimating that the U.S. will lose $220 million in revenue from foreign tourists. The number of group tours from Africa and South America has decreased by 47%. Travel plans have been canceled by families from Ghana, Nigeria, and Argentina. Seats in stadiums may be empty, but not because don't wish to go, but they are unable to pay the admission price. This is more than simply a financial setback for a city that made significant investments in World Cup infrastructure. It has to do with reputation. No place could lose more than New York City. This year, there will likely be 2 million fewer foreign visitors, which translates to a $4 billion drop in expenditure. From Fifth Avenue to the decrease is evident, Broadway. Luxury companies are having trouble, movie theaters are only half full, museums are empty, and the city reduced its foreign marketing budget as visitor spending dried up, further exacerbating the downward trend. More than most, Orlando, Florida is experiencing a workforce shortage. The seasonal labor at theme parks and resorts was reduced by half as a result of the decline in J-1 visas. The shows were canceled, the theaters that host dinners close early. Hours passed while guests waited for rides. Hotel managers rushed to cover the essentials. The summer crowds arrived, but Orlando was unable to provide. And it's difficult to restore that reputation once it deteriorates. Wave after wave of cancellations is plaguing Chicago. Tours of famous buildings are just half full. Operators of boats are docking early. Programs for cultural exchange have been discontinued. Residency events for international music were canceled. Guides switched shifts just to maintain their employment. Over 55 million people visited Chicago last year. The city now runs the risk of being completely left out of international travel plans, and the streets seem muted. This spring, Miami saw a 15% decline in tourist searches. According to industry statistics, service revenues have decreased by 20 to 35%. Resorts are reducing their workforce. Reservations are disappearing. Over 6 million foreign tourists visited. Miami last year spending roughly $7 billion. Peak season feels hollow this year. Operators are observing European, South American, and Canadian cancellations are coming in, and it's the same cause: higher costs and visa hassles. Los Angeles, the center of the popularity of entertainment travel in America, is waning. Bookings for Hollywood studio tours have decreased by 37%. The production of films is reducing. Film and cultural festivals' international attendance has decreased by more than 40%, according to schools. LA's reputation as a center of culture is eroding, and the employment disappear along with that brand. San Francisco has been severely impacted by a nearly 20% decline in F1 and J-1 visas, given its strong linkages to Asia. Major schools have seen a 22% decrease in the number of international students enrolled. It's awfully silent in Chinatown. Since winter, about 30% of the stores and eateries have shuttered. It's not just visitors leaving the city. It is losing its pulse on a worldwide scale. From Miami's America's symbols are becoming quiet. From the beaches to the skyline of New York. Because of a $250 visa charge, not because of a pandemic or conflict. Removing tourists and jobs from cities is one minor policy, and their position on the international scene. Whether this is a brief downturn or the point at which the world abandons the American dream is the question at hand. Have you visited San Diego, Orlando, or Tucson? Francisco? Still, would you accept that price tag? Your response could determine the future of travel in the United States. However, this goes beyond simply taking holidays and souvenirs. More valuable than steel or automobiles, tourism is one of America's largest invisible exports. Each tourist covers the cost of lodging, dining, and transportation, as well as tiny factories, nearby farms, and even schools by means of the taxes they produce. The devastation extends well beyond